applied in 1989 and for the RNC. And then on the West Coast, there was an ad for corrections. So I thought this was an opportunity to, rather than join the police force, I could get to live at home and work in an institution. And then August 3rd, we graduated, 25 of us. And that Sunday, August 5th, I started on night shift as a correctional officer in the women's prison. You fast forward to today, I'm retiring as a sergeant, the first female sergeant.
I find it interesting, she is not the least bit bitter about the job, and that's a job that can really poison your soul. Because when you're guarding people in prison, you're surrounded by the worst members of our society on a daily basis. And exposure to that, a lot of police officers and prison guards and such get very toxic attitudes from their job. I'm happy that that doesn't seem to have happened to her, in spite of the things that we know went on, both with her contact with the prisoners and with the other staff who didn't always accept her. So it seems that she has a very good mental outlook. This film does not have music throughout, and it was very effective. The absence of music in much of the film was an effective choice.
I think she was polarized about her job for sure. I think there was a lot of really a range of emotions out of it.
She came across, you know, as someone who's obviously kind of thoughtful, and you know, one hopes one of the better prison guards. She seemed to have a better approach. But then the text at the end sort of gives you this whole other, I mean, she barely even touched the surface of what the real story is going on there. And maybe it's because she was just retiring that day and most of the interviews happened at that time. But I felt like, you know, she was a bit reticent to get into the details. If there are 18 different outstanding issues that or complaints that she's registered, I wanted to know more about them and not just see them as sort of a coda at the end of the film. So I was interested, but then at the end I was a little disappointed that we didn't hear more about the actual struggle. And I wonder, you know, I mean, she did kind of act like she was dead inside. So I feel like, you know, by the end of the film, my impression was not that she wasn't bitter, but that she'd just become so numb to the work and to the injustice, both that she was enacting and both that she was experiencing, that she had kind of just zoned out on it entirely. So it was dissatisfying for me, though interesting.
I couldn't figure out why her daughter's applying to be in the RCMP. After all of that, like after she would have seen this, she alluded to the point that kind of the issues she was having at work came into her family life, etc. So I found kind of odd. Not the RCMP is exactly the same as working in a prison, but it's all along the same kind of line. Also, I did really like the song choice, the music at the beginning and the end of that.
Well, perhaps it's like it's an important job, so maybe that's why her daughter is going in that. Like I said, I think there's a lot of a range of emotions, and perhaps to the comment before about all the issues, maybe the union was censoring her for what she was allowed to say on camera. Probably, I'm assuming, because that's like it's something. These are issues that are not resolved yet, so she probably wasn't able to speak about certain things.
I thought it was interesting and disappointing a bit in the contrast that it really showed a lot of the building and even going through the cells and stuff, but it didn't show any other people.
Right.
And you know, there were sort of the repeated views from outside different angles of the prison itself, the structure, and almost like that was the overpowering thing, that, you know, there has to be this structure and there has to be these processes that happen, and we're so rooted in the past that a woman really wasn't in the right place there at that time, and that she really had to work hard to, you know, to find her place and eventually get her stuff resolved.
Yeah, there was a lot that wasn't said, but the filmmaker, while she was talking and not saying a lot of things, was honing in on things like the corrosion, you know, along the building, along the roof, and the rows of grids. Like, the prisoners don't have windows, they don't even have windows with bars, they just have grills, and you could see them stacked up in these boxes. They're kept in boxes, and then it zoomed in on the graveyard behind there where some of them die and are buried there. So to the woman who was saying, you know, there's so much she didn't say, and I think that's the filmmaker was getting at some of that, how there is so much, it's just the whole picture of repression, suppression, and imprisonment, and that the guards, you know, there's a part of that comes into their lives as well. And I think that was well done in the way they showed that pictorially.